Hello and welcome to my video lecture on service-oriented architecture. So you now have your foundation in XML and web services. So what eventually has happened, or what has evolved out of this, are things like service-oriented architecture. So this is an architecture. This is a way of developing applications. So service-oriented is web service-oriented for the most part, and that's where this all came from. So these are web services, and again, they don't necessarily need to be web services, but it's the paradigm that web services has started, right? So web services are these, services that people write and people publish, that do stuff, and people put it out there for people to use. So when you're actually setting up an application, what you do is, instead of writing these, ginormous applications, what you do is you write bits and pieces of applications, and they are referred to as services. So for instance, a really basic example might be, as we saw in using SOAP, some little mechanism for actually getting data out of a particular table, for instance. So you set up a service, you call the service goes and gets the data for you and returns it, kind of like a stored procedure. It is a new paradigm for application development. It's based on web services. They're loosely coupled, highly interoperable components. Again, so you can have a service called from multiple applications, so that you don't have to rewrite it for every application. Each application just calls the service, and that service provides whatever service it was designed to provide. It leads to flexibility and shorter development time. The author points out in the textbook that most companies that initiate this kind of architecture and this kind of application development see the time it takes to develop an application reduced in some cases by 40%. So that's enormous. So it all comes down to efficiency. So if we can instead of writing over and over and over again into applications the same kinds of programs, you can set up these services and then just call these services to do what you need them to do. You'll get into stuff like I said, even going back to like the Google APIs and stuff. So you're going to develop your first iPhone app, for instance. Most of the writing you don't have to do. All you really need is your idea for the app. What you do is you would reach out to the available APIs to set up your interface and get your data and the installs routines that have to happen. So I hope that sheds some light on what a service-oriented architecture is. And that is the end of my video lecture on service-oriented architecture and the end of Chapter 8.